If you don't execute the right draft strategy, you will fail and lose your fantasy league. Today, we're looking at another draft strategy you may want to implement for your fantasy drafts. And I kind of created this looking at all the other draft strategies we looked at, and it's dead hero RB, where we're looking at the dead zone, we're looking at the running backs at the top of your draft, and we're strategizing around it. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're looking at the draft strategies. They're more than just this. On top of that, player rankings, wide receivers, running backs. We're helping you set your lineups, and we're looking at the matchups every week this season. Click that button. Stop missing out. What we're looking at here today is the dead RB strategy that I just kind of created here. Because I looked at hero RB, I looked at double hero RB, I'm always looking at zero RB, and I'm looking at the player pool, and we're looking at the top of the draft. I feel like you need to be anchored with a top running back, and we're looking at the dead zone, which really isn't a dead zone anymore because there's a lot of talent in those rounds where you could pivot to running back, and we're looking at that, seeing which running back we want, and there's some strategies inside the dead zone that we got to look at today. Top of your draft, we're stacked at running back. So first two rounds, if you're implementing this, you're looking at running back pretty heavy. You're probably taking one of the studs at the top, Bijan, Saquon, Gibbs. Maybe if you're on the anchor there at the 11-12 spot, maybe you go Derrick Henry, Genty, maybe even HN, and then get your wide receiver. It really depends on your draft, who you're playing with, and the player pool. Starting off your draft, while drafting from the middle, say you're a team 6 with the 106 in your draft, it looks a lot like hero RB because it's pretty much starting off like hero RB. You're taking your first running back. Maybe you double hero RB it up, but really to implement this correctly, you're probably going to go single RB at the top, and you're getting one of those studs. First team here, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brock Bowers, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf. Another way you could shake it off, CeeDee Lamb going wide receiver first. It could be any of them. Then going running back, maybe a Jonathan Taylor up the guts, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore. But you're starting off kind of like a hero RB split. Same thing on the turn. You're taking your running back of choice. You're taking the wide receiver that's there. You're pounding out wide receiver. Then you're getting to the dead zone, and you're implementing the strategy how you feel it's best for you and how your draft is going. Whether it's hero RB, zero RB, double hero RB, or this dead hero RB, the start of the draft, picks 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5-ish, depending on how things fall. With the studs there at the top, these draft strategies get rather interesting because you get one of the top players at running back and wide receiver, and then you can build from there. Players fall into you from that 3-4 turn, and depending on how your draft goes, if it's a home league, running backs get buoyed up a little bit. Rookies kind of fall. You might catch some tremendous talent there on that 3-4 turn that makes this strategy glorious, and that goes with all the hero RBs as well. What I love about this strategy and hate about this strategy is the juice here in the 4 or 5 rounds. There's a lot of juice here at running back. I really like Marion Hampton. However, there are some veteran running backs here that you might be going against the fragility status of them, considering you can get veteran running backs a couple rounds cheaper while being able to smash a few more wide receivers with upside to add to your team. And that's something you need to pay attention to. So you might miss out on a couple running backs. That's why I kind of also hate this strategy as well. You want to go BPA most often, but on top of that, you do kind of want an outline and being good at wide receiver before you get to those lottery ticket running backs in the double-digit rounds is something you really have to do this year. There's multiple strategies in the dead zone this year. The dead zone's so good this year that there's no dead zone. It's just flush with players, especially at the running back position. But you got the top of the dead zone, you got the back of the dead zone, and you got to look at them in different ways. You got talent at the top of the dead zone, 6th to 7th rounds here, and you're looking at wide receiver. As though there's talent here, it's thinning out, but running back's heavy, and you got your choice, and you're kind of at a crossroads here. Do I go with my young rookie running backs who have tremendous upside, who could give me top-tier results if they hit? RJ Harvey, Trevion Henderson, Caleb Johnson. Or do I take those veterans, some of them coming back from injuries, some of them that have injury histories, some of them are older, so Father Time might look at us in the face. So at this price tag, you got to make that pick on which strategy you want to implement when you're looking at these running backs. Or do you go wide receiver and look at the back end of the dead zone and go even cheaper at running back? Because you do have some talent here at wide receiver. And as you look at these names, those wide receivers are going to thin out even more. Here's the back end of the dead zone. There's still talent at wide receiver, but it's thinning out. Your odds at hitting big time is reducing by the round. Also with running back, but you still got running backs that can be dependable, that can help you out, that are much cheaper. So if injuries hit, then it ain't going to hurt you as much. And then on top of that, you're still getting some production. I added round 10 in the dead zone here just to add more running backs just in case they buoy up, just in case you're in a home league draft and more running backs come off the board. But you're looking at Tyrone Tracy has a cheap discount, Travis Etienne. Quinshon Judkins falling like a rock. His ADP might be even cheaper than this. It might go cheaper in your draft. You got to pay attention to that, whether or not you want to take that discount. Jordan Mason could be getting an opportunity with the Vikings. Brian Robinson is a good running back that gets touches, not a top-tier running back, but can hold it down as your RB2 because you're already anchored down. And you're looking at wide receivers, and it's thinning out. The upside plays are really starting to thin out. It was a weaker wide receiver class this year. You do have Luther Burden, Jaden Higgins. But on top of that, once you get to this point of the draft, you should be stacked at wide receiver. Drafting from the middle of the first 9 rounds of the draft could yield you these results. Waddle in round 5, Monty in round 6. So you're getting a good, dependable running back, a veteran. The injury bug could nip him. It did last year at the end of the season. But if he's back playing like he was, that's a good anchor with Jonathan Taylor, TJ Hawkinson, Michael Pittman, more wide receiver depth, and next thing you know, you got Justin Fields. Drafting from the turn is always fun because it's easy to pivot from the strategy, and players fall to you sometimes, and sometimes you just got to make the pick. But if you're implementing this, you can go Derrick Henry, pound out wide receiver, and you're looking good at wide receiver. You got some upside there, maybe like a James Conner in round 6, Patrick Mahomes or another wide receiver or a tight end there. Then you're going Darnell Mooney or one of those round 8-ish wide receivers, filling up your tight end spot or quarterback spot in round 9. Maybe another wide receiver, but it's starting to thin out before you get those lottery ticket running backs. These hero RB strategies feel like they're best at the top of the draft. And no matter what I do when playing around with ADP or my own drafts here on Underdog, I kind of get the best builds. But looking at this, Bijan, Tyreek, Marvin Harrison Jr., DK Metcalf to start things off, George Pickens round 5, Debo round 6. Now, if you're going back in of the RB dead zone, then you're looking at Isaiah Pacheco. It's not really a dead zone because if he reverts back prior to the injury, that's a home run play. That's a home run play. Next thing you know, you got a nasty team as you're getting ready to draft a bunch of lottery ticket running backs and lottery ticket players. The strategy of the RB dead zone really hinders on whether or not you're drafting veterans or you're drafting these 3 rookies. If you draft these 3 rookies, you're going into the lottery ticket range of the draft looking at some of the veteran running backs so you can get some stability just in case there's a rookie ramp up here, or if they don't materialize till too late of the season or next year. But that's something to look at. Wow, if you hammer a veteran in like round 6, round 7, round 8 in the dead zone, you may be more opted to look at more of the upside plays here in the double-digit rounds. Really depends on what falls to you and what you want to do and the amount of risk you want to take on. The double-digit rounds get juicy here. As you get deeper, there's still talent on the board. There's a lot of upside. Some of these are gamble plays, but still, some of these could materialize. You also got some veterans here that's going to get work. Like you got a Rashad White just looking at you. Basil Toone's an upside play, but Ramondre Stevenson's going to get a little bit of work. Not upside work, but enough to get you by if you shot for upside in the dead zone. So that's something you want to look at, especially Austin Eckler, even cheaper. He's going to get enough work to get you by while your rookies are ramping up, and there's a lot of rookies in this area. Cam Scatterboo, round 10, Basil Tootin in this area. Jaden Blue's got a ton of upside. Isaac Rondo, CMC goes down. Ray Davis and James Cook goes down. So we're looking at year 2 running backs, rookie running backs, backup running backs that have some juice. You're also looking at wide receivers. As running back starts to thin out, you're not the only one looking at lottery ticket running backs in this era. You may pick up a wide receiver that falls at value, or the running backs ain't right, or you're feeling too deep at running back with lottery tickets at this point. There's also a good alley of later round tight ends that you can moneyball as well, and the quarterbacks are going live in the double digits too. There's a lot of good swings at the pinata at running back deeper in drafts, rounds 15 and beyond, and you can really hammer out some future starters later in the year here as you stash them on your rosters. There's some upside plays at wide receiver, though, and some guys that can get you by. Wan'Dale Robinson can get you by. He sat on waivers a lot. He was picked up off and on throughout the season last year, but he had some value. Alec Pierce is a boom-bust wide receiver. Pat Bryant is a rookie that's making plays at training camp right now, but you're also looking at these running backs. You're seeing running backs who are getting touches. You're seeing running backs with 4.3 speed with upside, guys with juice, guys with good college profiles that if somebody gets hurt, they could be rather productive in their offense, and you can load up the back end of your depth chart with. Quarterbacks thin and out. You should be at your QB1 at this point, and you should also be actually very good at wide receiver where you do not have to hammer out wide receiver in this range of the draft. You should have a couple good running backs, but you're looking at lottery tickets here. You're looking at upside plays, and if your upside plays don't hit or somebody really starts hitting on the waiver wire and you can get them, you can turn and burn the deepest upside play you got. The double-digit rounds is cheap, and you got a ton of running backs to look at. You got a lot of upside running backs that you can gamble on. You also got some stability here with guys getting touches. A lot of mix and match. Really depends on what you do in the dead zone. If I'm going veterans in the dead zone, then I might pick up another vet, but I'm really loading up at lottery tickets into double digits. However, if I go rookies in the dead zone, I'm going to pick up an extra veteran or two at the running back spots, and I'm also going to try and get a couple lottery tickets on the back end. Another example of how the draft could be implemented, drafting up the gut in the middle here, double-digit rounds, Zach Charbonnet, Javonte Williams, Rashad White, Austin Eckler, Dylan Sampson, Rico Dowdle, just going running back heavy, but you got Jonathan Taylor and David Montgomery, but if one hits, you got an extra flex. If one of your running backs go down, you got some potential running backs to step in there. You got some vets. You got some lottery ticket plays, while you're also tremendously deep at wide receiver. You're actually deep at running back at the top end here. You're good at the top with your starters, but you got a lot of lottery ticket pieces here. And then wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, Waddle, Pittman. That is nasty, and you're good at tight end. That's playing the ADP game going down the board, but drafting down the middle as picks are going left and right of you, you can definitely pick your spots. Same thing, drafting on the turn, starting double digits, Cam Scatterboo, Javonte Williams, Rico Dowdle, Dylan Sampson. Maybe going tight end or wide receiver mixed in there. You definitely do that. Marshawn Lloyd for some upside. The Packers running backs start to go down. So you got a lot of upside with this team. You got more running backs. You're definitely deep at wide receiver. But compared to zero RB, hero RB, double hero RB, the lineups are just a little bit more juicy. Like you got a little bit more depth at wide receiver, more talent there. But you're deeper on the top end at running back. You got good lottery tickets at running back. And you can also be good at your flex. You got more flexibility. That's what I like about this. All these hero RB drafts are sexiest with the first couple picks. Looking at this, you got Bijan as your running back. But in the double digits, Najee, Garando, Blue, Algier, tight end, wide receiver, somewhere mixed in there. Braylon Allen, and you're jacked up a wide receiver. You got a good RB2. We got a little bit more meat on the bone with the not-so-dead zone this year since there's more talent and wealth in the middle rounds where you can play around with it. But looking at running back, compared to zero RB, hero RB, double hero RB, like for the value there, Robinson, Pacheco, there's some what-ifs with Pacheco, but you're looking at the wide receivers. Hill, Harrison Jr., Metcalf, Pickens, Debo, a plethora of upside running backs, some veteran stability there. Just a lot of upside there, but a lot of meat as well with veterans that can help you out. You got the waiver wire too to play with. So if Jaden Blue's coming on slow, but some other running back hits, you can make that move or whatever running back it is. You also got your handcuff to Bijan. I really like this. I feel like at the top of my drafts with my lineups, with my top end talent, I feel a little bit more safe, and yet I'm still able to capitalize on the lottery ticket running backs. The one thing that could wreck my build with the dead hero RB strategy is if that dead zone running back does not pan out, the injury bug hits, fragility hits, that rookie does not pan out, and my RB2 is a waste of nothing when I could have pivoted to that wide receiver, but I can also make the case for that wide receiver as well. That's kind of the reason why you do zero RB or hero RB, to get away from that dead zone and take more lottery tickets on the back end. But going into week one, when you don't know what's going to happen, you just feel better with your talent at the top end. You're deep at wide receiver, but you're also deep at running back because you got lottery tickets and good at the top end. You're stronger at your RB2. Double here RB's got you strong at your RB2, but it kind of hits you at wide receiver a little bit at the top. There's a little bit of a gamble here depending on how you draft and what falls to you. It fills some of the holes from the 0 RB, here RB grouping where you're kind of naked at running back, hoping somebody hits. The only thing is, if injuries hit, that could wreck you a little bit while your lottery tickets are materializing, but that's with most builds anyways. But you're kind of staggered out pretty well, and it's close to actually drafting, which a lot of people want to do BPA, but you're really taking advantage of the position groups and what's available. But I like this a little bit better than here RB, a little bit better than double here RB, but you can win with all the strategies. I can win with 0 RB. I can do it, but I want to explore all the strategies, make those builds like it's Madden, and you just implement what you like best. But I feel like cashing in to what it used to be called the dead zone, it probably will be in a couple years, might allow you to hit on some prospects. And it really depends on how you strategize in the dead zone too, and how you take on those lottery ticket running backs when you're implementing this strategy. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.